Good morning, everyone. My name is Yashiro. I'm from the RIKEN Advanced Institute for Computational Science. It is located in Kobe, Japan. And our institute is next to the Japanese supercomputer, K-computer. K-computer is a massive scalar homogeneous machine, but I'm highly interested in the GPU. So today's topic is simulation of global atmosphere model NICAM on Tsubame 2.5 using OpenACC. So today's my topic is not cloud computing, but the computing of the cloud. This is the cloud. The cloud covers all over the globe, and several phenomena is found on each different places. And this picture is not the satellite image. This is our simulation result. So we conducted the first global subkilometer weather simulation on the K-computer using the NICAM model. This is the animation of our simulation. And you can see the Diana cycle of the convection over the North America. And here is a region of tropical convection. You know the Vanuatu cyclone is born in these regions. This is a southern hemisphere, mid-latitude. This region is, this convection is named as Madden-Julian oscillation. And at last, we can see the two typhoons, 1 and 1. So in this simulation is used by the Nonhydrostatic ICosahedral atmospheric model NICAM. The NICAM development was started since 2000, and the first global 3.5 kilometer simulation is conducted in 10 years ago using the Earth simulator. Earth simulator is Japanese vector supercomputer. And the first global sub-kilometer simulation is conducted using the K-computer. NICAM adopts the finite volume method with icosahedral grid system. And the code is written by Fortran 19. The NICAM also selected as a target application, proxy application in the post-K-computer development project. The application is used for the system application code design. So weather climate model is mainly separated two parts. One is the dynamics, and the another is the physics. The dynamics means the fluid dynamics solver of the atmosphere. We adopt a grid method such as FDM, FVM, FEM with horizontal explicit, usually horizontal explicit, vertical implicit solver scheme. Or we use a spectral method. And this part is the mainly stencil operation. And another one is physics. Physics means external forcing and the subgrid scale process of the atmosphere, such as cloud microphysics, atmospheric radiation, turbulence in planetary boundary layer near the surface, and chemistry, cumulus parameterization, etc. These are usually parameterized and no communication between their other nodes. And the codes usually have the big loop body with conditional branches. In NICAM case, the elapsed time ratio of dynamics and physics and 50-50, nearly 50-50. And the peak efficiency is larger than the peak efficiency of the physics is larger than the dynamics, because that the dynamics has a stencil operation and the physics has more high computational intensity. And as you know, the weather climate model have the different algorithms and different data dependency. I want to introduce the common issue. I believe it is common issues of the weather climate model and application. It is the bandwidth small issue. The weather climate model is one of the terrible application of the HPC. It is the bandwidth as much as possible. So the cause of the bandwidth eating is the low computational intensity. The weather climate model using a lot of variables with low order scheme, not so higher order scheme with comparing with the CFD models, and it could have a very huge. Its code is very huge. Between the 10 to 100,000 lines contains, and the model is still active for development and integration. So fully tuned codes may be replaced by the students' new scheme for the two years. So we have to tune more and more. The weather climate model shows a flat profile. Flat profile means that no large hotspots of computation. And a notable feature of our model is frequent file I/O. It requires a throughput from accelerator to storage disk. So we have to optimize everywhere in the application. If we use the GPU, we have to change all of the application like this. So fully GPU simulation of the climate model is challenging. We want to utilize the memory throughput of the GPU, and we want to offload all components of the application. And if possible, we want keep portability of the application. If possible, I want to use the one code for vector machine, scalar machine, and the GPU. And we don't want to rewrite all components of the application by special language because of the huge code portion. So OpenACC is suitable for our application to using the GPU. At first, we implemented OpenACC to the dynamical part of the NICAM. The NICAM-DC is the dynamical core package of NICAM. It is an open source license, and you can get from a website or GitHub. the basic test cases are prepared. OpenACC is implemented with highly strong support of the NVIDIA. We thank to the Mr. Narse. And the performance is evaluated on the Tsubame 2.5 supercomputer in the Tokyo Tech. The Tsubame 2.5 is the largest GPU supercomputer in Japan. It has over 1,000 nodes and 3 GPUs per node. We used 2,560 GPUs for Grand Challenge Run. And I will introduce the strategy to implementing OpenACC. The transfer common variables to GPU using data present or copying class. After the setup, arrays which use the dynamical step are transferred all at once. And for data layout, the several loop kernels are fitted to the latency core machine. It is structured as the array of structure. So we reverted from array of structure to structure of array, which is suitable for GPU computing. And we used asynchronous execution of loop kernels as much as possible. The NICAM has a special grid point for the stencil operation. It is 2 pole points. The computational portion is very small, but the pole points are calculated on the host CPU of the master rank. So we ignore this irregular small computational part. This part is calculated on the host CPU. For OpenACC case, we don't have to separate kernel for this. It is advantage of the OpenACC. For MPI communication, data packing and packing of halo grids are processed on the GPU to reduce the size of the data transfer between host and the device. And for file I/O, variables for output, this output is used for monitor and analysis. They are updated in each time step on GPU. And at the time to file write, the data is transferred from device. And we prepared the 3 types of the node configuration. One is a GPU case. We used the Tsubame 2.5. We used the 2 GPU per node, and 2 MPI process is used. And for CPU case on Tsubame 2.5, we used 8 MPI per node. And additionally, we evaluated on the K-computer. In K-computer case, we used 1 MPI per node and 8 threads per MPI. It is a hybrid case. This is a result of the small node performance. The graph is elapsed time of the main loop, and GPU runs is the 7 to 8 times faster than the CPU run, and it is appropriate to the memory throughput. We achieved a good performance without writing any CUDA kernels. And for the OpenACC implementation, the modified and added lines of the code were only 5% of the whole application. It is incredible. computational efficiency is reasonable in comparing with the computational performance and the memory performance. And the GPU shows a good power efficiency than the CPU case. This is a weak scaling test. We conduct the 5-node simulation to the over 1,000 node simulation. And we can see the good scalability between the small node case to the large node case. And we got the 47 teraflops for the 2,560 GPU case. The 47 teraflops in the largest problems and we achieved. But in this case, diagnostic variables for the monitor were written in files in every 50 minutes of the simulation time. It is a very frequent case. By selecting the typical output interval for the production run, it is every 3 hours. We achieved 60 teraflops. This result suggests that the file I/O is very critical for the production run. So it is not ignorable time. So one of the solutions is data compression. That we can compress output data, and we can compress output data on GPU if possible. So many weather climate simulation application outputs variables with the netcdf format and with compression in HDF5 library. In current case, the compression is executed just before the file write on the CPU. And the data is transferred, uncompressed data is transferred from GPU. So if we able to compress on the GPU, we can reduce the transfer data from GPU to CPU and file write. And we can reduce the compression time than CPU case. So we really need GPU-optimized popular compilation library, such as a cuHDF. We also showed the strong scaling test. In strong scaling test, the GPU case is saturated earlier than the CPU case. It is related to the host-to-device transfer. Yeah, host-to-device transfer rate. And here is the number of the horizontal grid. And we want to improve these problem size on the GPU. The massive scalar case is 5% of elapsed times is communication. It is very difficult. The summary, OpenACC enables easy porting to weather climate model to CPU. We achieved good performance and scalability with small modification. And application performance mainly limited to the performance of data transfer. There is some aspects to improve that issues. One is a pinned memory. In this case, we did not use the pinned memory, but this option is known as effective for the host-to-device transfer. And in near future, NVLink and HDM is expected to improve the memory throughput and the host-to-device transfer throughput. The file I/O issue is also critical. And for the application side, it's also need to more effort. The one is we should use the mixed precision more and more. Such precision-aware coding is necessary, and we have to evaluate the mixed precision from both scientific and computational viewpoint. And the ongoing effect is the physics component. We conduct the OpenACC optimization for physics. That's all. Thank you for the attention.